everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. I'm Corbin Hostler. I'm joined, as always, by Jason and DJ, and we are back coming off the holiday Christmas special. So what did everybody think? Did you hate the holiday special? Did you like it? Should we never do it again? Should we run it back next year with a different topic? We're definitely going to need to know, because it was definitely something new we tried out.
Topic will be
mostly
next year. It'll be flat Earth Facebook groups.
Well, look, I'm just saying Christmas songs seems like a reasonable place to take it next year. But if everyone hated it, we won't. We did that. We weren't able. Christmas obviously fell on a Wednesday. We were all traveling for family. We weren't able to record that week, but we did not want to miss an episode. So we figured out something we could do in advance. So that's what we did.
Want to miss an episode. It's that we couldn't miss an episode. Contractually.
Yeah, we're contractually obligated.
Had to record. We were all just like, just let it go. Just is fine. 360 something episodes is enough.
It's doing very poorly on YouTube. So if you would like to encourage us to do stuff like that, it's not an episode of Brainstorm Brewery per se, but it's not a week that we took off. You can encourage us by going to YouTube and watching that, and then watching everything else, and then liking and subscribing and finger blasting the bell icon so you get a notification whenever we make a video of any kind, be it that or our exotic MTG giveaway video or a preview card video, or something like that. Perhaps a brain bite. Remember we did those? We're going to do brain bite a month, and then we did 3 of them in 2019. Some more of that's coming in 2020. The year of hindsight. In the year of hindsight, we will say we should have done more brain bites. So we're going to do a bunch more stuff on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, that is a $0.00 way to support us, because we could use more YouTube subscribers.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about this week. It's, for everyone listening, the start of a new year. So happy 2020 to everybody. Also, we want to talk about Theros. We've got Theros coming out. We've got all the previews now hitting very quickly. By the time this podcast comes out,
it's 2013. You've got your SNES. You just ordered a pizza with your friends. Theros is around the corner. Life is as good. There's no Oko. Life is as good as it's going to get, and you don't.
Oh my God! Modern Horizons never came and ruined every format.
You said 2013 SNES. Yes. Are you kidding me?
Well, Corbin.
You probably believe that. 1995.
You don't know the meme
2013.
that I'm referencing.
I shared the meme.
He shared the meme.
You saw it from me. Get out of here.
That's a very old meme.
but it checks out.
That meme's been around longer than Theros has.
Anyways, Theros is pretty cool. So we'll get to that. Before we do, though, we do want to mention we are very grateful for all of the patrons, of course, throughout the year. You hear us talk about it a lot. We have a lot of stuff we've done, and we try to give back every year. So here we are. This for us is at the end of the year. It's not the new year yet. So for anybody who did not get a chance with the holidays, we completely understand, as we talked about a lot over the past month. But we've decided to go ahead and extend out for a week or so from this episode coming out, the Legacy 2019 rewards, which are some pretty sweet tokens. We went and got a bunch of really nice art that the real fans are really going to love, right? We've got all the memes included, all the in jokes, tokens, playmats. We've got a lot of great stuff lined up for 2020 with the quarterly rotating giveaways out to people. So if you didn't get a chance in December and you think that maybe you'd still like to get some of those legacy perks for 2019, right now, as you're listening to this, go to patreon.com/brainstorm brewery and get a shout. Give it a chance. There, I tried, Jason. That was my best Patreon pitch. What do you think?
I wasn't listening, so.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, well, fair enough.
I tuned out, and it's my favorite part of the episode.
That good.
You tell me.
I'm
if Corbin's Patreon pitch made you not want to contribute to the Patreon, I don't know what to tell you, other than a special legacy perk will be me doing a better Patreon pitch.
I want to tell you that Gray Merchant is back, and that it's apparently the end of the world because it's going to ruins EDH games. It doesn't create fun play dynamics and stand.
Well, there's a lot that's going to change with Theros. We're seeing a lot of cards. We finally saw our first cat hate card recently come out. But before we get to all of that, let's break off some bulk. Who wants to go first?
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
Shadows over Innistrad Common Land.
Common land? Warped landscape?
Yep.
Yeah, I did it.
It's not hard. It was reprinted in Commander 2018. It is a Evolving Wilds-esque common that you will often find left in the chaff. People will pull out all the what's the werewolf? The Duskwatch Recruiter. People pull those out. People pull out all the dumb vampire that gives counters.
The dumb vampire.
Indulgent vampire, yes.
Yeah, that one. People pull those out. People leave warp landscapes in. They shouldn't. The card's like 75 cents retail or like $1 if you get the commander one, and they sell out constantly on my TCG Player store. This is the bread and butter of like my archetypical TCG Player order, which is somebody buys like one command tower, 3 different signets, a gray merchant, and then a warp landscape, and that's like $6. That is how I put food on the table.
Now, if someone were looking to get into selling on TCG Player, what do you do to set yourself up to make sure that you get all of those cards bought from you?
Go direct.
Okay.
That is the shortest answer to that question, is to build up a large enough inventory to the point where you have the ability to go direct and to fill reimbursement invoices every couple of days. The longer answer to that question is to buy list those cards to larger stores like Card Kingdom and Channel Fireball until you have an inventory to the point where you can go direct.
Is there a magic number
In terms of amount of inventory?
Sure.
I would recommend going direct if you can consistently manage around 3,000 cards in your inventory.
Yep, there you go.
Which is like...
That's something we haven't talked about for a while, so like every time we go a long time without talking about something, we can't assume that everyone's heard every episode, so...
That's true. And, you know, at my store, we're direct as well. And I think we usually have 4,000 to 5,000 things on our store. So kind of works in with that number there. Yeah. All right. So who is up next? I'll tell you what, I'll go. This one, I think you guys will get pretty easily, but we'll see. It's an Amonkhet blue uncommon.
Is it
cycling counterspell?
Censor.
No, it is not censor.
Is it the nope. Oh.
It's not the draw two, that's a common.
It is a creature.
The Vizier that dumps cards into your graveyard. I'm not good on card names today, but it's the Entomb Vizier.
No.
How many blue uncommon creatures? It's not the Tumbling Sands guy?
It is Tumbling Sands guy.
Oh, I thought that was a common.
Nope. I got you. I got DJ.
Oh, you said it wasn't. You said it wasn't the Vizier.
I said it wasn't whatever card DJ was this
Tomb
card.
Vizier, the one that dumps a creature, and he said no.
Well, yeah, I got it by saying that you'd ruled it out, so I win.
Vizier of Tumbling Sands. It's a 3-mana 1/3 that can tap to untap another target permanent. More importantly, it has a cycling cost of 2, and when you cycle it, you untap target permanent. So the Lotus Field Storm deck, the Twiddle Storm deck in Pioneer, now that they've kind of banned a lot of the other, both powerful generic options and other combo decks, it's really taking off. And this is a key part of it. It's a 50-cent uncommon that's on its way up. And it's very good in that deck. I mean, the deck, you think that it's better than you think it is. I'll say that because they play Sylvan Scrying to go get their Lotus Field. The deck doesn't work without Lotus Field. But Lotus Field has hexproof. They run Sylvan Scrying to go get it. It's pretty trivial for them to float 2 mana on turn 3, play Lotus Field, untap it with that mana, and go off right away.
Go
so,
off.
Yeah, Yeah, Vizier, Tumbling Sands, Pour Over the Pages, just these random cards.
No, I meant by go off, I meant you
about.
go on a 5-minute rant about a deck nobody's playing. That's what I meant by go off.
No one's playing. If you guys followed Pioneer, you would have known exactly what card I was talking about, just for the record. You're up, Jason.
Europe?
You're up.
What about Europe?
I don't like Europe, but continue.
Is this the part where Jason's going to talk about how he lived in Europe for a year?
I don't consider the UK Europe, even if they do.
They don't anymore.
Oh, you guys Brexited twice, you idiots. All right.
I really want to catch a Galaran Ponyta with the ability to run away and name it Brexit.
No one that was such a deep joke. No one even got
Get it. Somebody will appreciate it. Somebody will tweet at me. I'm vindicated. Continue.
Okay.
I don't even want to do it.
Jason.
I don't even want to do mine now. He's just gonna do another bit. That's not even a dad joke. I'm a connoisseur.
Is it a
of
first
dad
edition
jokes.
Pokemon card? Is that your pick? Because
Yeah.
DJ will guess it.
Born of the Gods, green enchantment.
Born of the Gods, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Archetype
What's
of
a rarity?
Endurance.
It is Archetype of Endurance. I thought I would throw you guys off. Yeah, it's a creature, but it is an enchantment.
Archetype Endurance is great.
Yeah, it's like $2 retail some places, and just get these in bulk. I get all the archetypes in bulk. Don't give me any archetypes in bulk. But it's crazy how much this is. And it's crazy this wasn't on our Breaking Bulk spreadsheet for the last year. So I'm going to pick it again because we are going back to an enchantment set. And that means everything that spiked last Theros and spiked when they printed the Estra deck is in play again. And I'm just going to make money on stuff I called 2 years ago, and it feels really delicious.
That card is the timmiest Timmy that has ever timmied.
Well,
Well, I mean, that card is a
it's
6/5
just
that
good.
says, hey, you don't have to pay $12 for asceticism anymore.
I'm not complaining. It's
But it's not just a Timmy card. I mean, Timmys love it, but it's also like a legit, like, not just bad players like Archetype of Endurance. Everybody likes it.
I'm not saying
What?
Timmy's a bad player. Timmy just likes doing big, dumb Timmy things.
All right, so this is the new sub game here. Now, as I put these into the spreadsheet, what is the Born of the Gods 3-letter code?
BNG.
I got it
BTO. Born
I got
of
it
the
right.
Gods. Oh, BTO's a different thing. It's a bacon, tomato, onion sandwich.
No, that's a K-pop band.
Bachman Turner Overdrive is K-pop? By K, do you mean Kentucky?
No, we're doing we're doing the Reddit meme where you say like, "Isn't that?" and then you name a different thing. So it's like, "Isn't that
No.
BTO?" and then you're like, "No, that's BTS," and then you're like, "No, it's a."
No. DJ, the references are falling short this week, my man. Too much eggnog.
Okay, boomer.
Someone on Twitter will tweet at him that it was funny. He's vindicated.
Yeah. DJ's always vindicated by his sock accounts.
I'm not the one that bought Russian followers.
That's true.
They
was
were a
Jason.
gift, and I had to manually block all of them.
Is
They
that
were
what
a
you
gift
said?
to
They
him.
were the
gift to
collusion
himself.
Was a gift. The impeachment was a gift.
You know what? This is all fake news. I'm sick of this collusion delusion. Just because I stopped tweeting out finance advice to Ukraine.
Okay. That was great. Thank you for that.
Cry
all
me
right.
a river, Jason.
let's just move
Get
on.
it, Corbin, because of the Crimea region?
Yeah, I got it. I did get it. Thank you for explaining it, though. Let's move on to Theros. Now,
Also,
there was-
Crimea River is like a song by Justin Timberlake.
it is a Justin Timberlake song. Only it's more like,
Why do I know that?
River, you know.
Do that
like
again?
that. No, I did it once.
JJ's gonna play it on loop. You don't need to ask him to play it again.
Corbin, I want you to try and approximate his falsetto as much as you can.
All right, give me a second. Crimea River.
Holy shit, that was so good. That was so much better than I expected.
I like
This
some
truly is the best.
JT, man.
This truly is the best magic adjacent podcast.
Corbin was
Well,
really in
let's
time
get a
with those
little.
notes.
Let's move a little closer to Magic here and talk Theros. So let's start, by the way, with our preview card, which you can go to our YouTube channel and check out a video we made for the
Because
card.
Corbin doesn't remember the name of the card, so he's referring.
No, well, we don't want to spoil it.
What? Yes,
This
we
way.
do.
Not this way. We want it to spoil a better way. The cards. Look, man, everybody loves their preview card. It's like your kid, right? Everyone loves their kid and thinks their kid's great, but statistically, 50% of your children are below average.
That's maybe how that works.
So, our preview cards, they're like our children. You know what? We have been overachieving in our preview cards.
I agree. Escape to the Wilds. While I loved our Escape to the Wilds,
It only took like 2 or 3 cards to get banned for it to start seeing play.
our Escape to the Buffalo Wild Wings preview video, I think, was probably one of the best videos that we've ever produced. You should definitely go check that out on YouTube for fun.
And our talisman.
But also, yeah, the teamer deck, Escape to the Wilds actually sees play now. And yeah, we got talismans, which are just a staple forever in EDH, so that one worked out pretty well. Heck, even back in the day, our Shadows over Innistrad card. Oh gosh, what was the name of it?
Visions, Corbin.
Fevered Visions.
I didn't know either. Yeah, that saw some play because turns out drawing cards is really good.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk then about.
So what we're saying is we have been overachieving, and with Theros Beyond Death, we have regressed to the mean.
Yes. So. With
like
that
your children,
said, we don't think that
50%
our card Atris is going to break anything.
Can I talk about my favorite card from this set?
Can we talk about our preview card?
No, we already did a video.
We did a whole video on it.
By the time this podcast comes out, everybody will have seen the card already.
That's
so let's at least
accurate.
talk about it.
And nobody will be talking about it.
So Allure of the Unknown is one of the coolest designs they've done in 2019.
I agree.
5 mana Rakdos sorcery. Reveal the top 6 cards of your library. An opponent exiles a non-land card from among them, and then you put the rest into your hand. That opponent may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. So you draw the 5 worst cards, they play the best one. If you flip one of these on your top 6 and they don't play it, they are a coward. And they...
What do you mean? Why wouldn't they play it?
Could be... Who knows?
You get the rest.
Card for free.
Yeah, you get the cards anyways, so... Anyways, Seb McKinnon's art is great, and this is another example of it being incredible. So, he has a shtick, right? He has his style, and you're like, well, maybe I'll get tired of seeing...
it's a cover from a Latter-day Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark book.
Yeah, it's like, maybe I'll get tired of this eventually, but nope, everyone that comes out, I'm like, yep, this is amazing. It makes me care about the art. No other artist does.
That's aggressive.
Well, in terms of it just jumps out to me, Noah Bradley lands, John Avon lands, and Seb McKinnon card art, right? Those are the only...
Noah Bradley is the Imagine Dragons of Magic artists.
Noah Bradley is great, bro.
Yeah, you think Imagine Dragons is great. You saw them in concert, so that's not really refuting. Yes, you did. You literally did. Listen, find the tape.
What? No, I didn't.
You saw Imagine Dragons in concert. You talked about it. I made fun of you.
No, I didn't.
Oh my god.
You're making this up.
Corbin, stop gaslighting your co-host.
I'm not. Look, I would love to go see Imagine Dragons, but I haven't.
That's worse.
I haven't been.
Aspiring to is worse than... Oh, boy. You could at least say, I want tickets on the radio, but it's not like, no, I'd love to. Thunder!
I've never been.
Feel the thunder!
We are the warriors that built this.
Imagine Dragons is great. Sponsor us. Sponsor us.
So, yeah, you love Noah Bradley, you love Imagine Dragons. You just, the Bud Light Lime of liking shit.
Anyways,
I'm half a beer in, and I'm
moving right along. So, Field of Ruin is a really needed reprint for a lot of reasons. I mean, it will be nice to have it in standard. It's obviously a little late to fix Field of the Dead. But think about it. They knew that they were reprinting Field of Ruin into standard in this set, and yet they still had to ban Field of the Dead 3 months ago.
Because people didn't want to play with Field of the Dead for 3 months.
Yeah, and
it goes really well on your Field of the Dead decks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree. And I don't know if Field of Ruin would have been enough to keep Field of the Dead in check. But that's just got to be it.
Goes in the same Golo still. Like, it just...
Yeah, sure. But it also goes in other decks. And
they field your field.
Yeah, that means there's counterplay at that point, right? They have to field your field before you can field their land and you can just hold yours, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it would have been enough to stop the deck or anything, but it's just got to be a feel bad from Wizards' part, right? That, oh man, the 1 3-month period where they did Field of Ruin wasn't legal, Field of the Dead ruined the format. Oops. Kind of sucks, right?
It kind of sucks how they are seemingly making this up as they go along, as opposed to having like a 3-year plan for Magic.
I think they definitely. I mean, they have like a 5-year plan, right?
I think somebody who works at Wizards is like, look, man, we're gonna die in the climate catastrophe in 2021. If you want to balance Magic, if you want to do a real good job balancing Magic as we rearrange deck chairs on the Titanic, be my guest. But I'm telling you, we can go ahead and ruin Legacy. And it's not because dual land prices are ruining Legacy. It's the fact that we are all going to die very soon. And the rest of us who were alive will be scavenging for leftover cans of corn while feral dogs hunt them. So if you really want to take the time and get this right, that's fine. But if you want to ride out these last 48 months, like I'm planning to, trying cocaine for the first time, meeting people on Craigslist misconnections, that's what I'm about. So you know what? We're not going to balance this set. We're going to print Field of the Dead, and it's not going to be in time, for Field of Ruin to fix it or whatever, but none of this matters. So
what I liked most about that little rant is that you think 48 months from now will be the year 2021.
Well, it's 2019 right now, so in 48 months it will be 2021.
It's 2021 somewhere.
Has that hindsight 2020, Corbin?
This is not how months work. But, it's okay. You tried. Other than
Good
Field
luck,
of Ruin,
JJ.
We've got the Temples coming out as well. And the Temples are much needed reprints. It's interesting. I remember when Temples first came out in Theros, everybody looked at them and was like, this is trash. These are horrible.
Guild Gates.
Yeah,
So those of you who weren't around for Temples coming out in what was it? So if it's 2021, 48 months from now, that means it was 2009 and 2013. Okay, so
that seems about right. Yeah.
In 2013, we were coming right off the heels of Shocklands, and everyone was all happy. We had Shocklands and Checklands. Everyone was drinking like in that one red-green legendary Satyr art. Everyone's having a good time. And then they previewed Temples, and that was unacceptable to the Magic community because they hadn't heard of a card called Thoughtseize coming back yet. And so that was like Guildgate Gate, right? That was like
Guildgate Gate. That's about right.
Yeah, but like people were saying very convincing. It wasn't just dumb people. Smart people were like, oh, remember when everyone played New Benalia? And I was like, yeah, remember when everyone played New Benalia? That card was unplayable.
But
so
also,
for whatever reason,
people,
having 2 different colors of mana makes it a rare as opposed to an unplayable uncomment.
Right. Well, people didn't like that it came into play tap. They don't like that it benefits control colors. Your blue whites, your blue blacks, more than your aggro colors. Your red whites, your red green.
Because the aggro player gets to beat the tap land's face in.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, right? But they just underestimated the power of scrying. And scrying is incredibly powerful. I mean,
scrying is drawing half a card.
Yeah, when you play a game of Standard and you I drew a land for my turn, but you're like, well, it's a Temple of Epiphany, and I played it, and now I put this land on the bottom of my deck. You just feel good. It's actually like a feel good late in the game, and it's occasionally a feel bad early, but lots of times you can play a Temple on turn 1 in a lot of decks, get the scry. It evens out variance a little bit, and it's just so crazy how, it really is just a guild gate without even the subtype gate. But just putting scry on it just changes the gameplay experience so much. And as we've seen, Temples have become very financially relevant over the past several years as people have realized just how good they are to put into their commander decks. So these are actually great reprints of cards that are going to be worth some money.
$2 and didn't need the reprint. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, sure. I mean,
this wasn't this wasn't
this wasn't Fastlands.
This was we want these in Standard. We want these in Theros, and whatever. More power to them.
Yeah, I mean, these certainly aren't Fastlands and needs in terms of like cards that need to be reprinted, but they are good for Standard. They are, there's nothing wrong with putting more $2 lands out there for commander players to get their hands on. especially coming up the year of Commander or whatever in 2020. So I think it works out. It's pretty nice, and it's nice to finally have all 10 of them in Standard. Did you guys get fooled by the day that the Windswept Heath fake spoiler was going around?
No.
No, I'd never get fooled by anything because it's always terrible.
I have to say that this was the first
It was
time.
Perry that posted it, and they are notorious for posting things that are not real.
Oh, well, I was unaware of that, but I will admit to, for the first time in my life, actually sort of getting got. I was on a family trip, so I was not really on my phone. I wasn't looking at Magic. No, I wasn't interacting with Magic at all. What happened is, like, we were just doing family stuff all day, and I had a great trip with my family. Went to the water park. We went and did a VR thing. We went and did some like play stuff with Ben at like indoor parks, sort of some fancy stuff like that down in Dallas. It was a lot of fun. The point is, I wasn't doing a lot of Magic, but I did just pull out my phone at some point and saw Windswept Heath, but it had been put into the official little like banner that Wizards had been using for their cards. So I saw it for half a second. I was like, oh, well, I guess I wanted to just like subvert expectations here. Maybe Zendikar will have Temples. And then I just put it away and didn't look at Twitter for the next 8 hours and went on about my day. And then that night someone like messaged me and I was like, oh yeah, I think it's real. I saw it. And I had to do a double check. And I was like, oh no, I got. It felt bad. I don't know. Do you think we're going to get him in Zendikar Rising?
What, Fetchlands?
Yeah.
No, because
No.
Wizards isn't as dumb as people want them to be.
They printed Fabled Passage.
That's a reason why they wouldn't.
I kind of agree. I mean, I don't think that they're going to put Fetchlands and Shocklands into the same format, but if they did, Zendikar comes out in the fall, right? So it's actually it actually would be on the rotation of the Shocklands, so they wouldn't be in the same format. So it's possible that we could get them. I don't think they'd do it either, but if they're trying to push Standard play to Arena, the loading screen of shuffling maybe doesn't matter to them as much anymore. Always question your assumptions, bro. Speaking of assumptions, do you guys remember when we didn't think our lands would look like Pokemon energy?
I never thought that. I knew this was inevitable.
I did not. I kind of like them though. The basic lands, for those who don't know, they really are just Pokemon energy cards from the year 1999. They're just the symbol
These are gonna
on
be
the
like
background of the color. They're
how
cool
much
though.
are these foils going to be worth
$5?
Not even.
on the island?
Not
Maybe
even.
you don't think the island will hit 5?
These are cool, man. These are fundamental. Here's the thing. We have a lot of full art lands. And while, yes, these are in fact full art lands, they also are unique in a way that none of the full art lands are. Unstable gets
art lands, like
Well, Unstable gets the closest, right? With the fact that they actually are whatever they did there, no border or whatever they call it. But these are very different than every full art land that's been released previously. That's the one thing they have going for them. It's not which land art do I like the best. It's do I want basic lands that look nothing like any other basic land. So I don't know.
DJ gets to be right a lot just by being really
naysayer.
pessimistic.
yes,
Yeah. Just never say anything's going to be good and you'll be wrong twice a year.
Snow-covered
You'll
islands,
be
by
wrong
the way,
twice a year and people will give you a hard time. Be like, yeah, what about the 97 times I was right?
Snow-covered foils are more than $5, so DJ is wrong about that.
Oh! Are you using Channel Fireball prices?
I'm looking
Because this
on
podcast is
TCG.
sponsored by Channel Fireball, the place to go to get your $5 foil lands.
I agree. I was
That's not
looking
the
at
ad copy they
TCG.
gave us, but that's the ad copy we're reading.
I was looking at TCG player market price for the record to get to see what everyone at large thinks they're worth, and the answer is snow-covered islands are $12, and they are more than that, more than $5 for all the others, or $6 or $7, and Channel Fireball is around that same price point on those. So there you go.
Don't say
Just
price
saying,
point.
DJ. Just saying.
don't say price point.
Every time
Okay.
someone misuses price point, Dan Bach makes another Facebook post.
Did I use it wrong?
Sure did.
How are you supposed to use it?
Not as a stand-in for the word price.
Okay. So there you go. DJ was wrong about something. Your pessimism was wrong this time, DJ.
Haha, there's still time in 2019 to be wrong a third time. Does this count as his first time being wrong in 2020 or his last time being wrong in 2019? Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah.
Is this where Corbin and I do some wacky like spice bet or something about?
What if we did more of those? Because that gummy bear was weak sauce. I think the next thing we got to do is the peanuts. So somebody find us some spicy peanuts.
I don't even like peanuts. Find me a spicy something else. Find me like a
reason to.
Yeah. What if the worst part was that it's a peanut? Also, who doesn't like peanuts? What a dumb thing not to like.
I don't think I like peanuts. Anyways, I don't have strong enough feelings on this to bet on it. I'm just saying that DJ was wrong. That's all. All right. So here's the thing. Do you remember that card they printed called Oko Thief of Crowns and how it was banned in every format? And have to say, I'm pretty sure a modern ban is in the future.
It's not banned in EDH, dog.
You're right. I am pretty sure that a modern ban is coming forward in the future here. And then you look at the Planeswalkers we got for this set. It's so interesting because it feels so reactionary that they're like, oh, Oko was way too good. We have to make these Planeswalkers be like reasonable. But they designed all these things so far in advance that they had no idea Oko was going to, I mean, they might have had some suspicions or whatever, right? But they didn't know that Oko was going to end up banned in everything when they decided to print 5-mana Ashiok. That is, like, it's fine, but it's by no means sort of insane. But and Elspeth, minuses to make 2/1/1 tokens, minuses to gain life. Like what? These are not the power level of Planeswalkers I had been led to expect. But I like it.
Shouldn't Elspeth plus to make tokens and then +3 to gain life?
And yeah, she's a Sun's champion.
Now she's a Sun's nemesis. So, yeah, for those who don't know, and we're only going to talk about the officially previewed cards here, not the ones in the dirty leak from the evil leakers, because I don't think that people should leak cards. But also, it's just not. It takes a lot of fun out of it. But
if you leak cards, at least let us know where to find you so that we can dispatch somebody. Liam Neeson,
people,
maybe. He's not
people
busy.
Really do get punished, right? Like, to us, it's like, oh, a leak, whatever. And then people are like, cool, a leak, I don't care. But, to Wizards, that represents money, right? That some number of probably hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars comes and goes based on the preview plan, and the leaks damage that, right? It has a giant cost to them. So I'm pretty sure that they take it very seriously in terms of, like, when you say, let us know where you are, like, we don't know what's happened to the leakers in the past, but I would not be surprised if
we never heard from them again.
Yeah, I mean, they have to close the leaks in their system wherever that comes from, whether it's the printing plant or a distributor or somewhere else down the line. Like, it's no joke I think most people don't realize the legal danger that people who leak cards are putting themselves, who intentionally leak like this in a way that breaks a contract, right?
Not accidentally leak, like,
yeah. If you get, to be clear, if you open up a card in your M20 booster pack from Theros Beyond and you put it on the internet, you're in the clear. Don't worry about that or whatever. Obviously, none of us are lawyers, but I'm just saying that that's like a real money thing from a business. And you can't leak if you've signed contracts or work for companies that sign contracts. You can't mess around with that. So anyways, so what do you guys think about, we didn't touch on this, the big mechanic. I mean, what do you think about Escape? Because
Devotion's this cool new thing that's happening in
Devotion,
and I'm
cool.
glad we have it, because now we have a arguably better Gilded Lotus, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, Devotion is cool, but I mean, let's touch on Escape first, because this is the new one. You can exile cards from your graveyard to cast it, and the big thing is it doesn't get exiled at any point after that. It goes back to your graveyard, so it's kind of more like Retrace than it is anything else.
Ooh. So they use this mechanic to break Magic by printing a 2-mana Yawgmoth's Whale in red. So you don't need any black in your blue-red deck. Congrats, we fixed it. We made
what, do you think
Oko
that's
as
going to
an
be a problem?
Do you think Underworld Breach is not going to be a problem?
I don't know.
I mean, it's going to ruin Legacy, but don't worry. Legacy not being played anywhere is ruined Legacy. So
yeah,
it's probably fine.
For those who don't know, Underworld Breach is a 1-red enchantment. Each non-land card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to its mana cost plus exiling 3 other cards from your graveyard. At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice
Underworld Breach so you can do it again.
Wow.
I don't know.
It seems kind of fine.
It might be because all the games where I've done sort of graveyard shenanigans like this, I don't know how many extra cards I had to play with. I think it's going to be really tight, and you may have to, like dredge yourself a little greedier. But
it has to go into some kind of self-mill deck to even have a chance. Yawgmoth's Will. Not that I'm an expert on Yawgmoth's Will, right? But you just get to play it, and then you get to play everything again. You actually have to put work into making Underworld Breach sort of do anything. Otherwise, you're going to end up casting 1 to 2 cards out of your graveyard after you've spent a card with Underworld Breach to do it, and you have to exile everything else. It doesn't seem overpowered to me as a Magic card. Now, obviously, it's Magic. You can build around it. Right. Well, look, like, obviously, you can build around it, and who knows, maybe it'll be broken, but there is a big cost to it. That's for sure.
There was a big cost to Fire's invention, too.
Not really. We knew Fires was going to be stupid from the moment it was printed. And for what it's worth, it's been very good in Standard, but not... I mean, this Standard of the last month or so, since the last round of bannings, has been reasonable. Yeah, Fires is frustrating when it doubles your mana on turn 4 and triples your mana on turn 5, but it's not been too unreasonable. It's only one of the top 8 spots in GP Oklahoma City. It's, just saying.
Wow, GP Oklahoma City, all
27 people who slugged out.
I was gonna say, one of the top 7 spots. Oh, wait, there were 7 people.
There were 6 people in that tournament. Yeah.
Sure.
Jason, Breach, I think it would be unfair at 2 cards for sure. So it remains to be seen. But I think if you can manage to, have a big turn where you dump a bunch of stuff in your yard,
and the thing is,
will be big there. I don't know, man. We'll see.
I like that they're printing combo cards some to an extent, right? I think Fires is a little unfun, but I think
I want to talk about all the gods basically.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Nyx Lotus first. You mentioned Nyx Lotus and Devotion. Yeah. How hyped are you on this? 4-mana artifact enters battlefield tap.
Enter the battlefield tap sucks because Gilded Lotus was 3 mana you could use right away, and you could like try to chain your stuff together. But Nyx Lotus being way easier to play, 4 is just so much cheaper than 3 in EDH. The fact that you were 4 than 5. You're gonna tap this for 4 mana, 5 mana, 6 mana routinely. If you have a way to untap this, it's gonna get really degenerate. I think Nyx Lotus is. I just like it a lot more. I don't like paying 5 for Gilded Lotus. I'm cutting Gilded Lotus from everything, but Nyx Lotus compared to something like I realize that coming into play tapped sucks, but it also comes down a turn earlier most times, and you're gonna tap this for 4 mana a lot, 5 mana a lot. So, I haven't played with this card yet to see how it actually works out, but theoretically, I like this more than Gilded Lotus.
Would you play this over Thoran Dynamo?
Yeah, probably.
I love Thoran Dynamo so much.
I love Thoran Dynamo too, but I've played I've played Sisei's whatever that thing is, Sisei's Ring. Yeah, back in the early days of EDH where we didn't have that good of mana. So
the early days of EDH, were you hating on EDH?
Yeah,
that's true. Back in the day, we almost had shirts made that said "Casual players suck."
Yeah, and then casual players are the only people we want to trade with. It turns out,
players. Or that I want to play with anymore. Magic is very different than it was back when we started this podcast. Yeah, back when we started this podcast, you didn't have Magic Fest. You had GPs, and anything else was looked down on.
Well, I have not played with Nyx Lotus, but I kind of feel like this might end up being better than Gilded Lotus in a lot of my decks. Now, that said, if you're playing 3-4 color decks, this could end up coming into play tapped and tapping for 2 mana. and that could really suck. So
Yeah, it definitely, I think,
it's situationally a little
yeah.
bit better. But like if you're in like a one color deck, like I don't know, Gaunty, I think this is going to be really nuts.
It's insane in a lot of decks.
Well, sure.
Well, your devotion to black is going to be quite high.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I think that this is just a neat design because it has a very high ceiling, but also a low floor, but not a completely unreasonable floor, you know?
But
So
Gilded
it's
Lotus
cool.
also could, like, if your devotion to green was 0, you could tap for 3 green mana. Nyx Lotus doesn't do that.
Yeah, I think Nyx Lotus goes into far fewer decks. That said,
Well, I think Gilded Lotus goes into far fewer decks than it, or far more decks than it should.
one of the things we've been talking about recently as we take in these cards from Theros and moving on is how many cards we saw drop over the last couple months. But it does look like some of them have rebounded. You know, so one of the ones that really concerned me was something like Nylea, which just fell off a cliff a couple months ago, but it's bounced right back up. So, we talked a lot about the sort of the larger macro Magic economy here, and there are a lot of cards moving up right now, and that's obviously the Christmas push, and we'll see where things go from here. But I think Theros has the potential to get people excited about Magic again, and hopefully back into the doors at game stores and buying cards online, and we sort of get past the feel bads of Throne of Eldraine and standard bannings and all of that. And, look, the Planeswalkers and Theros look kind of fun and not broken. The gods are cool. I believe it's Galia of the Endless Dance is definitely cool.
I brewed with that this week on Cool Stuff.
Yeah, check it out on Cool Stuff. The Galia of the Endless Dance, the red-green 2/2 haste. Other satyrs you control get +1/+1 and have haste. And whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures,
20 or 19 Satyr cards ever printed just got a huge boost.
Shapeshifters, bro.
Oh, that's true. All 19 Satyrs plus
all 19 shapeshifters.
Yeah, Chameleon Colossus.
There you go. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you can discard a card at random. If you do, draw 2 cards. So this is sweet, right? This is a cool card. Maybe, who knows? Maybe we're going to get all the satyrs. Be a thing in standard.
Yes, just like last time when they made a Centaur Lord for Theros.
Yeah, pretty much, right? What do you guys think about the gods, though? Any stand out to you?
I don't care about the gods, but there's a card I want to talk about.
Okay, what's that?
I think Tessin Champion is very good, but not for the reasons that everyone else thinks it's good.
Okay, so for those who don't know...
What are the reasons it's good, DJ? You guys are liking it wrong. Okay.
Well, so it's a 1/3 for 3, but it has Constellation, another returning keyword here. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Cetizen, whatever it is, champion, and draw a card. So, combo. That's what I think of it anyways.
Think other people are feeling this as like a hardcore enchantment deck thing where you play like crappy things like last time it was Mana Bloom. It was Eidolon of Blossoms plus you play garbage like Mana Bloom and just like
Mana Bloom was like 45. Mana Bloom spiked in anticipation of them printing something like Eidolon of Blossoms, which is
that's the thing is like but like
it's the most 2011 MTG Finance thing ever. Like
yeah, pretty much.
When the Constellation card came out, everyone just wanted to make like 45 enchantments deck, and then they also printed like Blessing of Nature in the format. But I think Cetizen Champion is very good just because like it hits a much more important spot on the curve in terms of like card advantage. And in the past decade, every 3-mana green creature they've printed that draws you cards has been like a format staple. Because, like, the best thing you can do statistically in Standard over the past 10 years has just been, like, play green things that overthrow your opponent and that also generate card advantage.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see
like
how...
Perfect's Tireless Tracker, like, there's, like, so many versions of this card that are just, like, play a green mid-range creature, and then Dirtle, and then you end up on top because you're drawing 19 cards and also beating them in the face. Like, I think just you played 10, 15 other, like... enchantments that just happen to be good cards that also generate card advantage, and this card is super good. I don't think that means this will be worth anything, because standard only cards are worthless, so don't buy it. Don't buy like 90 of them at $2, then buy list them later for 50 cents. Don't do that, but I just think the card is very good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I'm curious to see how Standard turns out, because as a format right now, it's very much tilted towards the extremes. And the deck you're describing is very good and has traditionally been very good, and those cards have been very good. But this Standard format, you either go to the extreme end of grindy by playing Jund Sacrifice. You go to the extreme end of, I don't even know if it's you play Simic Flash, right? You play Simic Flash and you just counter everything your opponent does. You play Simic Ramp and you just do insane ramp things and go over the top of anything your opponent does. Or you go Jeskai Fires and you cheat mana and like how if you're playing Cetizen Champion and you play 1/3 and you're like, yeah, next turn I'm gonna play a value card and draw.
No, next turn you're gonna play Fires of Invention and then draw a card, then play a free card, then draw a card, then play it like
that's certainly that's what I'm saying. That's certainly possible. But it's kind of different, right? That's not the role that something like a Tireless Tracker
Constellation
or a Corsair
and
would fill.
Heroic never got there.
Like both of those.
Heroic was a deck. It was like a Naya Heroic deck or whatever. Yeah, it kind of existed. It was blue-white Heroic. Naya Hexproof.
It was like a budget EDH deck, so congrats. But like,
yeah, but it's just what I'm saying is that the mid-range decks in Standard don't really exist.
I meant F&M, not EDH. Sorry.
I just think Standard's going to be interesting to see if those decks kind of can exist, because Black-Green Hinge is a deck I've been playing a bunch, and it kind of exists in this space where you can get a bunch of card advantage going, but sometimes, your card advantage engines just don't matter, because you either get your first 4 spells countered and then you die to a Night Pack Ambusher, or your opponent plays Fires double Cavalier and you just die anyways. Like I said, that's why I think Standard has a lot going for it right now, but one thing you cannot do in the format is Dirtle, with the exception of the Cat Oven Jund deck. So
this card reads like a Corvold to me. Like, I don't...
Yeah. I think it could be very good in that deck, right? If you think about it, because they also have Trail of Crumbs, which is a sweet value enchantment.
Dummy green Dirtle value engine. Like, you can...
Yeah.
This card reads to me like you just play a bunch of value engines and then you outvalue them, and that's... Like, you can still play a value deck if it's extreme value. Like, that's still a value deck.
Yeah, but you need something like Rancor, and you don't really have that. You don't have the 1 mana thing that's the good...
I think you play like Fires of Invention or Field of Crumbs and just like bury them.
That is the question, I think, is if where I would see something like this, and and this is the financially relevant part, is like, would this find a place in this deck? Could you build an enchantment centric version of the Jund food deck, where instead of playing some of the other Durdley removal or whatever, you play like more value with champion, and maybe you don't have to play Corvold because you have this. Maybe that's you can cut down on your colors or something and just play a black-green sort of enchantment cat food Trail of Crumbs deck. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot of cards in this set that make me interested to brew around in Standard to an extent. I just think it's hard because the format is just so high powered already that things can just shut down your brew because they're just so powerful.
Things rotate. This could be like very powerful.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
This card's just like it's an engine, and it's an engine that goes in the right spots instead of like 4 mana 2/2 draw cards. This is like just the right spot on the curve to just start beating face, playing free spells, generating value, and like there's still that very strong distinction of like, don't buy it.
Right. Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, like, what's Fires of Invention worth right now? It's like $1. Like, it's $2.
Yeah.
So don't buy. Like, buying Fires of Invention was never the correct play as a spec, even if you knew for sure and you did your testing and all of the signs were there. Like, that doesn't mean that the spec is good.
Right.
It just means that you were right about the card being good.
Right, and that's why I'm trying to think basically of the other cards in the deck, because that's basically where any opportunity you have is going to come from. So speaking of cat food deck, let's talk real quick about. I believe it's Kunaros, Hound of Athreos. This is a mess. This is a keyword soup card here. It's 1 black and a white. It's a 3/3. Vigilance, Menace, Lifelink.
It's the unquesting beast.
Yeah, basically. Creature cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast spells from graveyards. So shuts down Escape, and it shuts down your cat food decks. The problem, I don't really know if you can get away with. I don't know like what deck the power is there, but what deck in standard is black and white that wants to play a hound? You know, it's not a knight for those type of decks. It's not really a control card necessarily. Maybe like an Esper hero type thing. That's probably the best bet, and maybe something that could be a resurgence of Esper hero. If you can, that's basically the mid-range deck that's been forced out of the format by everything we talked about. So this would be the place for it. So I don't know if that's a thing, but that's kind of where I'd look if you're interested in trying to shut down cat decks. I'm going to talk about. I'm excited about this. I don't know that anything exists for it yet, but Woe Strider is a 3-mana 3/2 in black. When there's a battlefield, you create an 0/1 goat token. Sacrifice another creature, scry 1, escapes for 5 mana and exiling 4 cards, and enters with 2 counters on it if it escapes.
This isn't a new Viscera Seer, but this might be a new Yeheni as a sack outlet.
Yeah, and it could be a new Catacomb Sifter, right? And I'm thinking I'm having flashbacks too. Well, one, I just want to note that the language they use, Woe Strider escapes with 2+1 counters on it, is just cool. That's good flavor. But I think of Catacomb Sifter, and I think of the Rally the Ancestors deck that was in Standard, and also now is in Pioneer. It brings something with it when it comes into play, but it's a free sacrifice outlet for value. In fact, I think they both scried. And this can even come back. So that's kind of what I look at. And I don't know that the pieces there exist for anything like that, but it's just something to keep your eye on. These free sacrifice outlets for value are powerful on their own, and this seems like a pretty reasonable card just on what it comes with.
I think Storm Herald's nuts, but it's like limited to basically just Earl the Miststalker decks, which sucks. Like, this had to be in red probably, but I don't like any of the decks it goes in except like maybe Earl, which I'd not even care about anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Earl in my experience is like not very fun because either people break up your Voltron and you lose and you didn't do anything, or either way you're hated because you're one-shotting people.
I have a judge question.
Okay.
Does this work with Arcanum Wings?
Okay, so Storm Herald is a 3/2 for 3 in red with haste. When there's a battlefield, return any number of aura cards from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to creatures you control. Exile those auras at the beginning of the next end steps. If they would leave the battlefield, exile them instead. So you're asking if it works with what? Arcanum Wings?
That card has the aura swap mechanic, which I can exchange this aura with an aura card in your hand. I want to know if the exile upon leaving the battlefield clause prevents you from exchanging this card with it.
No, you can put the card from your hand into play, but instead of going back in your hand, the card that you aura swapped out gets exiled. So
it would be a replacement effect.
You can put the card from your hand into play on Storm Herald.
I don't know if that matters. I don't know if there's anything there.
I just own like 150 aura swap cards. Arcanum Wings has always been one of my this looks neat, I'm not bulking it out cards. So I have a lot of those.
There's no reason not to bulk this out, but I can't make myself sort of a deal. Yeah, I got cards like that.
Well, I mean, it could get there, right? But I mean, it's been many years and it's not there yet.
15 mana aura and be oops, and then.
Well, they already have an 8 mana aura that's pretty good.
Yeah,
yes, and I just want one more Eldrazi conscription-esque thing.
Yeah. I'll say that I'm looking at this set in the context of Pioneer, and it's got some very interesting stuff going for it because there's a Dredgeless Dredge deck in Pioneer that might want some amount of Woe Striders. I mean, maybe not, but that's a thing. There's enchantment decks in Pioneer, you can play like an Enchantress type build in green-white that might want Setessan Champion and some of this other stuff, right? Maybe the Sagas. But there's also a heroic deck in Pioneer that I think definitely is interested in Staggering Insight, the blue-white uncommon enchant creature. When enchanted creature is +1/+1, has lifelink, and whenever deals combat damage to a player, draw a card for 2 mana. That's insane.
I've never liked these kinds of cards where it takes a 1 mana card and then adds 1 more mana onto it, but gives it a slightly better effect.
Well, in this case, they slammed They slammed Curious Obsession and just the card Lifelink, right?
But I mean, I feel like people will drastically underestimate a mana cost difference between 1 and 2.
Right.
Sort of like how Spellskite just kind of faded into obscurity because Fatal Push was printed, and like it just changed the paradigm of 1 mana answers versus 1 mana threats. And I feel like this card plays similar with that, where people read it and they think, oh, 1 more mana than Curious Obsession plus benefit equals value, whereas like Curious Obsession was very, very good because it was 1 mana specifically, and this is double the mana cost.
Convolute would be getting the play mana leak used to if that were
right.
Right, exactly. It's like I think people conflate close mana costs very frequently, and it's like, oh, 5 is like 6, 6 is like 7, whereas I think the percentages between mana costs being different is much more of a realistic expectation of how the card can play out. So like 1 being way, way, way different than 2 is more important than 4 being different than 5.
I agree with all of that. I do think that this is going to find a home in the hexproof decks or heroic decks or whatever they look like at the moment in Pioneer, because it is just very powerful. So, and as an uncommon, I've got an eye on it, is basically a future breaking bulk. Pull these from your draft tables at the pre-release, etc. Not lighting the world on fire or anything like that, but I'm trying to keep Pioneer in mind with everything as I evaluate cards these days, because we've talked about it before. Pioneer is the new Modern, so it doesn't take as much to make an impact on the format as it would for something like Modern. So Staggering Insight is a lot worse than those things, but maybe Staggering Insight is the Daybreak Coronet of Pioneer. The big problem with Daybreak Coronet is you can never race the creature once they started gaining a bunch of life, and maybe that's what Staggering Insight starts to do in that format. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. All right, we've got plenty of weeks over the next couple weeks before the pre-release to talk about these cards. Remember to check out our preview card. Now, let's do Pick of the Week.
Pick of the Week. Pick of the Week. Pick of the Week. Time for the Pick of the Week.
As a reminder to everybody, you can get all of the cards we're talking about at our sponsor, channelfireball.com. Excellent website for buying cards, selling cards. Their trade-in bonuses, very generous. And of course, there's some great content there. So make sure to check that out. Pick of the week. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. Mine's on the back of my same pick of the week from 2 weeks ago, which was Quest for Ula's Temple, because that was just looking even further ahead from Theros. We have Ikoria, which is just dirtle, dumb, big monster worlds. That is how it is described to us, at least. And so I am extrapolating info from that and just sort of guessing that there might be some hype about Krakens and sea monsters and Leviathans. Kind of like how people got one postcard in the mail about Eldraine and people like bought out Blitter Blossom. So that's sort of my logic here, is like when we get slightly more information about Ikoria, there will be a lot of hype about sea monsters and
fairy tales. Buy all the fairies. Hey,
right,
get Kraken on building your new. They said Kraken.
I had almost forgotten about the fairy buyout on Fairy Tale set. That's funny.
Appeared on TCG Player because somebody got a postcard that was colored purple. Like, it's just...
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's great.
So my pick of the week is a Rixmathes, the Slumbering Isle. At $5 or $6, probably goes to like 10 or 12, just based on the fact that it's a commander card, and I think it'll start to look a little more attractive to crack some BAMP precons, because there's a lot of those still sitting on the shelves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Jason, what do you got?
I got a card that's sort of predicated on Theros as well. I think Estrid's Invocation, which has basically been flat for its whole existence.
Yeah, card's great.
It's basically just been a $5-6 card the whole time. It's only got upside. We're going to get more enchantments, and there's going to be room for this card to grow. And it's only available in a precon that has a Rixmathes in it also. So maybe you just buy the Rixmathes precon, you get your Bear Umbra, you get your Tuvasa, you get your Estrid's Invocation, you get your Rixmathes, and you're good to go.
That's a very DJ Johnson pick, is to go on Amazon and buy 50 copies of Commander Precon and then crack them all and then list them all.
Well, hey man, if you're selling Blades of Selves and stuff like that. You didn't do too bad. Fiery Confluence and stuff like that. So
There's this incubator and
yeah, that deck was stacked, and also nobody cared about it as a deck because it was a dumb, dirty Giants deck that sucked. But
That's right. Yeah. Okay, I'm around to finish this off here. I've got Keranos, God of Storms this week. So it's definitely seen some movement over the past 3 months or so, but it is lower than it has been at times in the past. Remember, this used to be a modern staple. This is how twin decks would kill you post sideboard. And with Pioneer slowing down and with just the Theros push, it is a legendary enchantment creature, a god. It's not going to get reprinted. And there's probably going to be people who want to build their 10 god decks or 20 god decks or whatever. I think that there's just a lot of, obviously devotion coming back. There's a lot of factors that can move this. And then if it starts to see some Pioneer play, it could really take off. But under $7, I really like Keranos right now. Also, it's a mythic from Journey into Nyx, which was a third set, no reprints, et cetera, et cetera. It really checks all the boxes.
Don't know what a third set is.
That might be true. For those who don't know, they used to do blocks where they'd have one big set in the fall and then 2 smaller follow-up sets, and that's how we got Theros Born of the Gods Journey into Nyx. And Journey into Nyx, no one opened, essentially. So as a mythic from a third set, it basically checks all the boxes for a card that could explode here. So it's $7, under $7 available now. And if you can pick any up around that price, I think it's probably going to climb to 10 off of Theros hype. And if it starts to see Pioneer play, because it's a great finisher, it could easily, double up to 15. So got a lot going for it. All right. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we get out of here this week? Okay. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. Happy New Year to all of you. Remember to check out the Patreon. You've got a week or so from the day this comes out. So right now, go check it out if you want to get in on those 2019 Legacy perks. Until
you have a week or so, I'm telling you, you have like 5 seconds.
Get on it right now.
Whoever's listening to this, you have...
Because you tell someone they got a week, they're like, I got a week. But no, you have 24 hours from the time you hear this.
I'm just saying that not everyone listens to the podcast the day it comes out. And I don't want someone to listen on Monday. Yeah.
Has 5 seconds from when they listen to it.
That's right. Yeah, we're tracking it. Go check it out. Patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. Anyways, until next week, everybody. Hope you enjoyed your New Year's. We'll see you then.